It's very important that you understand all the critical elements of the final portfolio because it is worth 50% of your grade. So this is the big assessment that you're going to have this quarter. This is why I have not been grading your essays one by one, because I want to look at your best work that you have done over the quarter. So you need to be revising and improving your essays using all of the information. We've gone through most of the course content, which means it's time for you to truly start applying that. For example, in your first couple papers, you weren't learning about ways to improve your writing. I want you to go back and revise them based on those chapters, because we've spent the second half of the quarter working on your writing and not your thinking. So your essays need to exhibit all of that learning that you've done. So you need to go back and you're picking 3 of the 4 essays that you wrote this quarter, and you need to be revising them based on all of that information. Okay, so I have pretty high standards when it comes to grading those essays, because you need to take some time and really work with them to get them to demonstrate all of the information you've learned. So each of your individual essays needs to adhere to the MLA just like we've done all quarter long. None of that is changing. So make sure that your MLA is perfect. Otherwise, your grade will be affected in that now. Okay, so for this assignment, you need to choose 3 of the following essays. These are the 4 that you've worked on: your descriptive analysis, your compare and contrast analysis, your interpretive analysis, and the using your reading as a lens analysis. So you only have to pick 3 of those. So you can leave one out. How you pick them is completely up to you. Think about how much work is going to go into each one, and yet which one's already at a really good starting point. Things like that. So it's totally your choice. I want your portfolio to be your best work. When you've chosen your 3, I want you to compile them into a creative but professional portfolio. And then you need to include the self-analysis that you write at the very beginning of that. Okay, so you'll have 4 papers total in your portfolio: your self-analysis and the 3 that you choose. And your self-analysis needs to come first. I want your portfolio in one document. I'm going to show you some examples in a minute, so don't upload 4 essays because I won't look at it. I want a portfolio, which means one document where all of your information is contained. Okay, and again, I can't emphasize enough, this is 50% of your grade. You can have an A right now and not do well in the portfolio and fail the class. Remember, when I have graded your essays before, it was based on participation. If you turned in, a 1-page essay out of a 5-page essay, I still gave you 20 points for that. Please don't think that you got an A on that paper. You didn't. You got points for turning it in, and that's it. You need to look at the response sheets that I gave you and see where I scored them, when I gave you an A or a B or a C. That's your guide, not the 20 points, that letter grade where I told you that your essay was at that time. Okay, so be very careful of that. Students can be very deceived by how much their portfolio can affect their grade. So you need to be really careful. Okay, so I don't care how you organize your portfolio, but I would like it to be a little creative. Here are some ways that you can be creative in that. I'm not going to go over it, so make sure that you look it over and read it. When it comes to assessment, I am going to be judging each individual paper by the prompt and response sheet / rubric that came with each paper. So when I look at your self-analysis, I'm going to be grading it based on the prompt and rubric that I gave you for that. When I look at your descriptive analysis, I'm going to be grading it based on its own individual prompt and response sheet. Does that make sense? There's not a big collective one. Each paper has to meet its own requirements. So the descriptive analysis had to be 2 pages, I think. And then the next paper had to be 3. And then the next one had to be 4. And the next one had to be 5. So if you turn in paper number 4, I'm going to grade paper number 4 based on number 4's prompt and rubric. And if you don't meet those requirements, it's going to fail. Okay? Your portfolio might not necessarily, but I look at the the essays holistically. That means that if you have an A, a B, and an F, I'm probably going to even that out to a B+. That F is going to bring you down, but those A's are going to keep you high. Okay, each one is going to be weighted equally. It's not that I'm going to say, oh, well, your self-analysis is going to carry more weight in your grade than another. No, I'm going to look at them all together and look at it as one grade, one level of performance. So that's why you want to make sure that all of your essays are where you want your grade to be. Okay, don't risk throwing in a really bad paper because it's going to drag your grade down for your whole portfolio. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, let me know and I'll explain it to you individually. But just remember, I'm not doing points or anything like that. I simply look at your portfolio and say, this is a work based on how each individual paper is meeting the requirements of its prompt and rubrics. Okay, so that's how I'm going to grade it. So you want to make a really good impression. That's usually the bottom line. Okay, so here's the rubric for your final portfolio. This is more detail in how I'm going to grade you. Again, 50% of your grade, very important. So the major requirements are that you have the 3 essays that you turned in throughout the quarter. There's 4 of them, you're choosing 3. You have to have 4 essays total, one of which is your self-analysis. So here are the 2 major requirements: 3 regular essays, 1 self-analysis, for a total of 4. Okay, each paper needs to adhere to the MLA guidelines. There's no reason not to at this point. Review the material I posted on Angel in the first week if you're still having troubles with it, and some of you still are based on paper number 4. So get your MLA perfect. There's no excuse not to. Each of your papers has to demonstrate at least a partial understanding of the concepts covered for each individual assignment and as a course altogether, which means your introductions need to be good. You need to have thesis statements. You need to have good conclusions. You need to have good paragraphing skills. Everything comes into play now, and I will be evaluating you based on how you're able to combine all of your skills that you've learned. Okay, each essay needs to be somewhat, I'd say moderately well-versed in academic writing standards, in your grammar, in your mechanics, and all the basic writing elements we've covered as well, such as focus and organization, things like that. So you have to demonstrate good thinking, and you have to demonstrate good writing, and all the skills that go into both of those. Okay? And then your portfolio needs to be at least somewhat creative. Okay? So these are the basic requirements. The better you do, the higher your grade gets. Okay? So this right here is C work. If you can only demonstrate a partial understanding of concepts and only somewhat adhere to all the elements that we've talked about all quarter, you're going to get a C. If you want a higher than a C, you need better understanding and better adherence to these elements. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, let me know. So let's look at some examples real quick. Okay, so here's a title page that somebody did. Oh, and I should warn you, these 2 examples are from a couple years ago, so their assignments are very different from yours. So don't look at them for content, really. Just look at how they look. This is an aesthetic example, so just how they look. Okay, so she created a table of contents, very lovely. Dividers for each individual essay, but look at the essay itself. It's got the proper formatting, page numbers, all like that, and no creativity. That's what you have to be careful of. I want the papers clean and free of any graphics, whereas the creative stuff you put in can have graphics. Does that make sense? So here's her essay, another divider, another essay, another divider, essay, divider. That must just be part of her, a graphic for her argument. You don't need those, so don't do them. Okay, essay, divider, last essay. Okay, so this is what your portfolio is going to look like. Oh, we're still going. Still going. Okay, see? So that's what your work can look like. Here's another one. Ta-da! Lovely title page. There's a table of contents, divider, and there is the First essay, and both of their first essays were reflections. Okay, so this is a reflection essay. That's got to come first. Another divider, another essay, another divider, another essay. See? No worries. Not hard. Okay? So if you have any questions on your portfolio, this is the time to ask because it's worth so much of your grade. So let me know if you have any questions or concerns with any of your essays, anything. Don't hesitate to ask. You've got a full week to work on it. So use it well and let me know if I can do anything to help you.